Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us. We have a very exciting program today. My name is Jack Sakai. I'm a retired physician, and I'll be hosting today's program. So I'd like to welcome you to ACC's first ever program on cancer awareness. Now, to be sure, we'll have future programs that are going to be discussing different cancers in more deeply, but for today's session, the intention is to raise your awareness of cancer and to raise your awareness of early detection and its importance. Now, we thought that the best way to do this was to have cancer survivors, people that you know from our own ACC community, to give their personal and sometimes even scary stories about their accounts and their battles with cancer, and then emerging from on the other side as survivors. And as of today, I'm happy to say that all of our panelists are now either in remission or are cancer-free. So yay, happy about that. Now, before we start in on our narratives, I'll have each panelist give a brief introduction of themselves. So Glenn, you want to start?
Sure. My name is Glenn Watanabe. I'm 75, and I've been an ACC volunteer since 1978. And before that, I was active in the Asian American Studies movement at Berkeley and Bay Area. And right now, I'm suffering from two different kinds of cancer, lung and bladder.
Julie?
I'm Julie Toyama. I've been with ACC for a while doing hula, line dancing, even exercise with Joaquin. But I am now cancer-free.
Cliff?
Hi, I'm Cliff Toyama, the lucky guy who's married to her.
And you're
I'm a cancer survivor of colon cancer. It's been quite a while, but I'm still okay, so I'm happy about it.
Bill?
I'm Bill Nagata, and I was just talking to Cliff here, and we're both Angels fans and Otani fans, so we have a lot in common. I'm going to be speaking about my journey of my early diagnosis and detection of prostate cancer. My association with the ACC is through the guitar programs, through Glenn, and also quite a while ago through the photography club. Jack.
Okay. So for our first narrative, I'll start with Glenn Watanabe. Now, Glenn, you invited your doctor to be here with us today, so I'll have you introduce him.
Sure.
And then proceed on to your treatment.
I invited my doctor today, Jack, because he literally saved my life. I didn't have any symptoms with my latest cancer, lung cancer. I could have gone on until it spread to my brain, where it typically spreads, and then only to be told that maybe chemo might work, but I'd only have a 5% chance of living.
Wow.
So because he, on his own initiative, knowing my background, he started annual chest x-rays, and therein discovered an early tumor last year. And they were able to biopsy it and perform surgery. So he's my hero. And so I wanted to have him on the air to describe why he decided to screen me annually, and what kind of relationship with your doctor we as patients should have and try to develop in order to get screened early. So Dr. Oide, he's my general practitioner from Kaiser Bighorn facility. And I believe he's the assistant chief of medicine over there too. So Dr. Oide.
Hi, can you hear me okay? Jack and Glenn and... Are you able to hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. So I just wanted to say, first of all, thanks for having me for this session. I'm an internist here with South Sacramento Kaiser. I've worked here for about like 22 years. I'll just share a few words about myself, and I actually know a few of the folks sitting up there on the panel. And the first thing is, I don't think the work I do is anything special, but I do think that the relationships I have with my patients are really special. And many of the connections I've made here with patients that have been, really why I continue to work are because of who they are as people and who I know them as people. And we connect because we have shared interests, sometimes because we, my sort of state of origin is Hawaii, and I connect with people at that level. And we kind of share the same sort of outlook and philosophy about healthcare. And healthcare is really a shared experience. It is something that requires work on both sides. And what I would say is that it's really, really important, Glenn, I talked about this a little bit earlier this afternoon, that you have a relationship and the trust of the physician that's taking care of you, who understands not just the medical conditions that are being managed, but also understands who you are, what you want, and understands the importance of every encounter, of every visit. What I would say, and I won't and can't talk a lot about anyone's sort of personal medical history, but I think that it's really important when I see a patient, or when any of you go in to see your physician, I think it's really important that you go in with a set of your concerns, because when I go in to see a patient, I have my own set of concerns based on things that have happened in the past, or studies that have been done, or what happened the last time I saw the patient. And I think we come together in the moment, and we make sure that both things are put out there on the table and that we get things addressed. What I tell sort of all my patients, and especially anybody here, is that prevention is really way more important when you're talking about cancer screening. And I think what we tend to forget is that we actually have some control over the development of certain types of cancer. So prevention and the ability to sort of modify that, I think, are really important. So I don't want to say too much about Glenn's particular history, but again, an awareness about what somebody may have been exposed to, whether it's something in the military service, a smoking history, which places you at higher risk for certain types of genitourinary and aerodigestive cancers. It's really just, when I see patients, you kind of, put that into the back of your mind as you start looking at sort of, listening to their complaints and listening to what they may be trying to tell you in the way of symptoms. I think it's super important that you have the ability to communicate honestly with your physician, because if you don't have that conversation, sometimes the need to investigate further just doesn't come up. And in terms of sort of screening, for me, I'm more of an introvert, but I tend to be a little bit more of an obsessive compulsive kind of person. So I really want to make sure that details get taken care of. And if there's something weird or abnormal, I think we need to explain it, or at least sort of figure things out. And what I would share with you is, having a lot of these diagnoses is not fun, right, Glenn? I mean, there's, taking medication and having studies done. And yet, if we catch things early, if we prevent things, if we look at the role of things like diet and alcohol consumption and exercise and reducing our own cancer risk, I think those are all super important. Being aware of what current screening guidelines are, asking your physician about this, making sure that you have those preventive things done are just super, super important. There's a lot of new guidelines around lung cancer screening, and for many of my patients, I think it's important enough to have a discussion when they come in, even if it's for something else. And again, certain risk factors place you at risk for other types of cancers, which is sort of why people with lung cancer have more bladder cancer, have more esophageal cancer. And again, just kind of having that relationship, having the trust, having the communication are just so central to be able to figure things out for people, particularly finding things out at an early stage. So that's kind of all I wanted to say, Glenn, and I just wanted to say thanks for inviting me. I didn't know if you had any other questions or wanted me to comment at all.
No, I just wanted to recognize you for your care and concern, and again, saving my life. So I appreciate you spending the time to be here today.
I appreciate all of you too. I think, you know, the work I do, again, it's nothing special, but it's really about the relationships I have that make it special. And you know, knowing patients for 10 or 15 or 20 years, being able to you know, have a relationship and connect with them is just super important. I think it's really important to find out who somebody is, at least as much as all the medical conditions they have. The medical conditions I have, we can work together in managing and follow up. And I'll ask you questions that may seem inane, but are really important in terms of making sure that we keep an eye on things. But again, it's the relationship that you have with your physicians that's just really important if we're talking about management of cancer as well as prevention and detection of cancer.
All right. Thank you again.
Thank you.
So Dr. Oide, thank you for joining us today. We know you're busy and you've got a big schedule, but you know, we're grateful at the time that you took out from your busy schedule today to be with us. So
Yeah,
thank
no
you very
problem.
much.
You know, when I first moved out here, I lived in the Pocket, and you know, just lived down the road from the ACC, and I've had many patients actually receive great care there, and so I too am grateful for the presence of a facility like this that actually gives our community a chance to actually talk about things like this and raise awareness of things that are really important.
All
All right. Thank you. So
Thanks,
Glenn,
Glenn.
you want to go ahead and tell us what happened with your treatments?
Yeah, I'll start off chronologically. In 2019, I was getting more and more painful urination, and I have no male friends that don't have that problem. You know, it's a problem we get in our 60s and 70s. So there was this green laser treatment that I was going to check out. So I went to my urologist, Dr. Pham at Kaiser South, and he said, let me do something. I just want to check your bladder. I know you hear about your prostate, but let me check your bladder. And I go, what? Didn't even dawn on me. And then he did check my bladder out with a video camera, etc. And lo and behold, it was angry red inside, cancerous. And you know, the tough part was driving home that night because my wife just thought I went to talk to him about a simple prostate treatment, and I had to go home and tell her I have cancer in the bladder. And that was the scariest point in my life, was how was I going to tell her when she wasn't expecting something that heavy. So, and she took it fine, and right away she just started supporting me in whatever I had to go through. I went through 2 surgeries, but first of all, since it's about early detection, what Dr. Pham did was videotape the inside of my bladder. Again, that discovered my bladder cancer early enough that it didn't penetrate the muscle wall, so I didn't have to, it didn't spread. I didn't have to have my bladder removed and a sac there because we discovered it early. It was because Dr. Pham knew my record so well. He knew I was a former smoker, and bladder cancer, one of the leading causes is cigarette smoking. So, and it could be 40, 50 years ago, but that's still one of the leading causes. So biopsy, 2 surgeries, and the cancer was removed. I was given the all clear. I always knock on wood. I was given the all clear. And then in 2022, as I mentioned, Dr. Oide was ordering annual chest x-rays for me. And then in 2020, a small little smudge appeared in my left lung. But it was so small, they didn't think anything of it. It could have been scar tissue. Then in ensuing years, 20, and then finally in 22, that little smudge grew to about 2 centimeters. And that's when they decided to biopsy it. And the biopsy showed non-small cell lung cancer. And so surgery was scheduled. But before they did the surgery, they gave me a whole body PET scan and an MRI brain scan, because if I had cancer, if that cancer had spread and it was anyplace else in my body, surgery for me would not have been an option. It's too late by that time. So they would have given me chemo and prayed. So because they didn't find it, surgery was scheduled. They removed half my left lung. And by the way, I was hoping I would sound like Frank Sinatra when I got out of the surgery for our singing group, but no such luck. I sound as crappy as ever. But, and here's the tale of the tape. Because they removed all of the cancer, because they found it early enough, I have a 50 to 60% chance of living 5 more years. Had it spread, even a tiny bit, had it spread, my chances of living 5 more years would only be 5 to 15%. I'll take that 50 to 60%. And that's the value of discovering cancer early. And why did I come to ACC to share that? Because I saw this t-shirt I'm wearing, Intercept Cancer, the crucial catch. While I was recovering from my lung cancer surgery, I'm an old-time, I was born and raised in San Francisco, 49er football fan. I was watching the game, and one of the games in October had all the guys on the sideline and the women on the sideline were wearing black t-shirts or sweatshirts saying Intercept Cancer, the crucial catch. And I looked it up on the computer, and sure enough, the NFL was working with the American Cancer Society to try and encourage all the viewers and the communities from where they have NFL teams to start programs to encourage people to detect cancer early, because your chances of survival are so much better. And so when I saw that, I was almost in tears, because I said, man, I didn't even know that. And so that's when I decided, if, after I recover and recoup, I want to approach our lifelong learning and wellness program, Jerry and Danny, to see if we could start a series of programs here to encourage our ACC and greater community to embark on the same campaign to educate and encourage people to get screened early. So.
Okay, well, thank you, Glenn, for your, it was courageous and brave account of your battles with both of your cancers. It sounds as though the screening and early detection really did save your life.
It did,
Yeah.
no doubt.
So we next have Julie Toyama. So Julie, tell us about what happened after you felt a lump in your breast that would not go away.
I usually don't, examine myself or anything, but I just happened to do it, and then I felt the lump, and I said, oh. And I waited, and the next night, the same thing, the lump was still there, and it wasn't going to go away, so I called the doctor, and I went in to see the OBGYN, and when she looked at me, she said, you have to go down and get a mammogram. So she set up the visit, and I had the mammogram done and ultrasound. Then the doctor came in, and it all started in early June. By the time I had my mammogram, the middle of July, the doctor came, and then we set up an appointment. So I went to talk to him a couple of times, and he told me what he wanted to do. And I was okay with it. So we set up, and I had the surgery done on the 2nd, August 2nd. I had a mastectomy. And he told me that I could either have chemo or radiology. But I decided to have the radiology. And for 6 weeks, end of August, I started radiology every day, 6 weeks. And it turned out fine. I had a class reunion, a 60th year class reunion. So I told the doctor beforehand, I said, do I have to cancel? Because we were going to go to Las Vegas for the reunion. And he said, no, I think that'll be okay. So I said, fine. So my last day was a Wednesday. And the next day we were on the plane to Las Vegas for my reunion. And I was okay. It didn't bother me at all. Of course, I didn't tell anyone. We were just having fun at the reunion. So, and I went to see oncology every 6 months. And then after 3 years, they said that I was cancer-free. So I'm here now.
Good for you.
Okay, well, thank you, Julie, for it's an inspiring account. It seems like taking personal responsibility for your own health, like in self-examinations and not delaying making an appointment to see your doctor, was a key in your detection of the cancer at an early stage. So, yeah, before it spread. So,
And I was lucky because everything just went on, and there wasn't any waiting around.
Yeah.
I just got my surgery done,
Yep.
And just knowing that I wasn't going to let it beat me. My girlfriend that had pancreas cancer, she was in Hawaii, and when I called her, she said, Julie, don't be sad because I'm not. I'm going to beat this. So I think it's that positive attitude really helps too. Mm-hmm. And so when I had mine, I had that. I said, I'm not going to let it take me either.
Good. Did you have a choice in surgeries?
I could, actually no, I just said that I wanted it done.
Okay.
So our next presenter is Cliff Toyama. Now, Cliff has an interesting account. He had persistent rectal bleeding, and he went to see a doctor, and that doctor told him that the bleeding was not from cancer. So, Cliff, what happened?
After being examined by the gastrointestinal doctor, GI doctor, I thought it was cancer because I could see the monitor as they did the probe. But then after the examination, he told me it was colitis. I didn't know what colitis was. So he treated me for the colitis for about 6 weeks, I guess, and it went away. Everything was back to normal. But about 2 years later, the symptoms returned. So I went to the same treatment again, and I was okay after that. But I need to mention the funny thing about what happened. About 10, 15 years before my first colitis situation, I had both cataract surgeries on my eyes. So after that, I had to go and see my ophthalmologist every 6 months. But anyway, this was way after my second colitis session. I was at the ophthalmologist doctor, and he was examining me, and he told me I should make an appointment with my GI doctor. And I was wondering why, you know, what my eyes got to do with my GI doctor. So I went anyway to my GI doctor, and the doctor did a colonoscopy, and he took biopsies. And the result came back cancerous. So after that, I made an appointment with the surgeon. So we discussed the surgery, and then I wanted to think about it, so I went and got a second opinion. It's not a surgeon. But then he didn't offer me anything new, so I went back to the original surgeon and told him I'm going to go ahead with the surgery. He had two options for me. He said he could remove the part of the cancer and rejoin the colon together. But he told me if he did that, in the future, it could leak. So then he also told me that, and also the cancer could return in the upper part of the colon. So I decided to remove the whole colon, because the surgeon told me once you remove the whole colon, then you don't have any problems with the leakage or cancer returning back in the colon. And my son, who was in the meeting with with us, he was telling me, "Hey, Dad, do you want to see your grandson grow up?" Right, you know, it kind of shocked me then. So I went with removing the whole colon, and after that, about 2 months later, I started my chemotherapy session. That went on for 6 months. And today, it's been 12 years since I had the surgery. I've been cancer-free. So early detection is very, very important.
Good for you. So your cancer had not spread then when they discovered it.
No.
Right. So it was
So
still
it
in an
was
early
caught early
stage.
enough that, you know, it didn't have a chance to spread.
Well, thank you, Cliff, for it's a rather complicated and complex account. But it seems sometimes you just have to be insistent on following up on your symptoms, you know, regardless of what other people tell you. And so, you know, I commend you for that. That was a good move. And, you know, lucky for you that, you know, your persistence paid off, because they were able to find your cancer at still a relatively early stage. Yeah. So great. And last we have Bill Nagata. Now, Bill is a good friend of mine, and we play music together on the Pocket Pickers. So Bill's cancer was found at a relatively young age. So Bill, when and how did you find out that you had cancer?
Well, to answer that first, you mentioned the cancer was found early. That's not a really good sign. The later you become or get diagnosed with cancer, your chances of living are better. But anyway, I started at the age 50 on the assistance of my GP to get PSA tests, which I did, and then to follow up annually to get these PSA tests. So what's a PSA? It's a prostate-specific antigen. It's a protein. And these proteins are produced by good prostate cells and cancerous prostate cells. So the prostate gland sits underneath the bladder, and it kind of wraps around the urethra. And for this test, you need a blood draw. The blood is sent to the lab for analysis. And then a normal PSA is 4. And then I'll go into what my numbers were as my talk continues. So in 2009, at the age of 64, my PSA began to rise. What's important about any PSA number is how fast it rises. We could have a 92-year-old guy sitting over here, just as healthy as can be, no cancer, prostate looks very healthy. What's happening is, say from age 50, every decade the prostate will go up, but by the time he reaches 90, and 100 probably, the prostate will not produce enough cancer cells to become detectable, so he's going to be living a good long life. So me, getting anxious, I thought, gee, it's like a F-18 fighter pilot being catapulted off of an aircraft carrier. Just being pushed out, and the pilot guns the plane and it goes up. And I thought, you know, that's my cancer. Every day I waste not getting treated, my cancer PSA is going up. But for most of us, me included, is that it kind of goes up more slowly than that. So that's a lifesaver. So at this time, my PSA in 2009 was over the threshold. And so I was referred from my GP to a urologist. The urologist ordered many procedures, DRE, a biopsy, bone scan, and other scans to boot. So a DRE is a digital rectal exam. All the guys know about it. So the physician is feeling for smoothness of that prostate gland. It should be smooth. If it's not, if it's dense, if it's enlarged, it's squeezing on the urethra, making urination very difficult. And if it's lumpy, those are not good signs. So the next test you're going to have is a biopsy. The physician is going to go up into the prostate gland and take tiny samples, and he's going to give those samples, he or she is going to give those samples to a pathologist. The pathologist is going to read those cells. Some cells, when it's looked at under the microscope, will be pretty much intact. You can tell it's a prostate cell, and some will become jumbled. So this first set here, we'll give it a 3. The second set over here is more jumbled. It's not looking too much like a normal cell. We're going to label that a number 4. So we add the 2 together, we have a 3 and a 4, a 7 for that person. Now, if the cancer is more widespread, first specimen might be a 4, the second one might be a 4. That's called 8, or a Gleason 8. The Gleason comes from a doctor, Donald Gleason, who did a numeric numbering for the histology of cancer cells. Histology means the structure of. So the higher the number, the worse your cancer. The worse the number, the less chance of having a good outcome. So I ended up with a Gleason score of 8, which is not good. It's not that bad, but I knew I was going to have some trouble. So in September 2012, my urologist called me on a Saturday, and I'm thinking, you know, these dedicated doctors, don't they ever take time off? Because I'm trying to have fun on a Saturday. But he was so concerned about my condition, and at the time I was at a Lumiere gathering here in Sacramento, and I was enjoying an ethnic lunch. For those of you that don't know about the Lumiere people, they're out of southern China, and there was warring going on, so some migrated into Vietnam. They went down to Thailand. Some went into Laos, and many of them are here in Sacramento. So that's where I was, and I got this phone call, so I knew there were three things that was going to happen from our discussion. One was going to be a BPH, a benign prostatic hyperplasia, which means the prostate gland enlarges and it makes urination very difficult. Secondly was a prostatitis, which is an infection of the prostate gland, treatable generally by antibiotics. And the third option I was going to hear was prostate cancer. That's why I'm here today. So I was at a fork in the road in 2012, and I had many choices to make in a very short period of time, because time represented a buildup of these prostate cells, and it was going to make my recovery a lot harder if I made it. So I thought about the options I had. One was radiation, one was brachytherapy, which is radioactive pellets that are inserted into the diseased prostate gland. Third was a total removal, prostatectomy, and at the time it was done by physicians that would manually operate a robotic machine to remove the whole prostate. A fourth option might be cryotherapy, that's freezing the prostate. And another option would be just wait and see. So I think I'm going to stop at this point and say this concludes my early detection of prostate cancer. And my takeaway message is early detection. It's the key. Do not procrastinate. So I want to thank you for your attention.
So Bill, did the cancer spread by the time you had your prostatectomy?
Yeah, that's why I had discussed earlier about a bone scan. And there was a nodule on my, or a black spot on my right hip. It may or may not have been cancer, but it probably had spread, because the adrenal gland also puts out PSA. So cancers can spread to the bladder, it can go to the lungs, it can go to the lymph node. Anything that's close to the prostate and the blood takes it away from the prostate, cancer could end up somewhere else. So it probably did spread, it metastasized.
But yours was still an early stage, though, at the time they did surgery.
I would have liked to have seen it at a 7. My Gleason score is 7 or a 6. That would have given me a really good chance. I wouldn't have to wear diapers as it is, because I have bladder issues. Fatigue is a big issue with me. I have to watch when I'm driving that I'm fully alert. Weight gain, it's around the gut, because your testosterone has to be low in order for these drugs to work, to suppress the PSA. So there's a lot of things, if you procrastinate and these numbers go higher, you're asking for trouble.
Okay.
Discomfort and eventually death, early death.
So, Bill, that was an interesting account. And so thanks for reminding us again that early detection probably is key to the treatment of all cancers. Okay. So, Bill, was there anything that gave you inspiration and strength as you went through your treatment?
I had a test done to see if I had a family history, or if I have the gene that causes cancer, and I don't. So I'm very thankful for that, so I could tell my son. that don't worry about that. It could be the environment or some other thing. I'm just grateful that I'm here for the family, for friends and relatives. It's changed my, excuse me, my eating habits. I've become more of a vegetarian. Red meat is off the plate. I like to see sunrises and sunsets. They're beautiful for photographers.
Okay. So, Cliff, was there anything that you found to inspire you to continue with the fight against cancer? Like your family, for example?
Well, I would say that early detection saves lives. That's what I believe in.
And your grandchild?
Yeah, he's now grown up. I mean, he's in college now too. So it was.
Oh, good. I mean, yeah, you got to, live to see that happen. So that was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's grown up.
So, Julie, you mentioned family. How important family was to you in your treatment?
Yes. Well, if I didn't have my Jack, my grandson, I mean, still, I got to see him grow up. And my sister also had cancer, but she had a lumpectomy. And she's still flying all around, So it's
That's good. Okay. And Glenn, well, we heard from your doctor today. So can you tell us more about the importance of having a good relationship with your doctor?
Well, I think it was obvious. He knew me well enough that he prescribed those tests. The lucky or the unlucky thing about my cancers were I had no symptoms. And that's dangerous because you never go see the doctor because you're not hurting, you're not uncomfortable, except for, again, males all have prostate issues. But if he didn't prescribe those annual chest x-rays, it could have already spread to my brain by the time I did get them. And even my urologist, if he didn't decide to look into my bladder, I wasn't planning on anything like that when I went to visit him. Yeah, I could have had my, bladder removed, or it could have spread and killed me eventually. So be frank with your doctors, share with them. And, I'm going to say this, but if your doctor is not very responsive, get another one. I mean, within the systems, most HMOs, you have that ability to get a different doctor. If you're not relating, and you know it when you're not relating with your doctor. You just don't talk. You don't share stuff. Or you're more reluctant to see him or her. So do look and find a doctor that you can relate with and feel comfortable with.
So thank you, panelists. You guys are all did great. Really interesting accounts. So all of your accounts were inspiring, and they showed bravery and courage as you went through your battles with cancer. So I just wanted to commend all of you for doing a really great job of telling us what happened as you went through your treatments.
Can I ask you this?
Yes.
You're a physician.
I used to be one.
Right. So what's your take on, I know you're for early detection, but why, from a physician's point of view, is that important?
Well, it just simplifies matters when your cancer is detected early, because, everything is easier and more successful. Like, it's easier to do surgeries. Surgeries become more successful, when you have the cancer detected early. Yeah, I had something to say later on, so I'll get to that point here. So anyways, our panelists has given us so much information. This is a pile of information, but I'll try to summarize some of the key and what I think are important points. So the first is detection early detection through screening and self-examinations, I think, as in Julie and Bill's case, are vital to detecting cancers in an early stage, because cancers are more easily and successfully treated at that stage. And I'll just give you one statistic. In breast cancers, for example, if the tumor is small and confined to the breast, then more than 90% of women will survive 10 years or longer. So you have a 90% 5-year survival rate, which is really high. So early detection again. Establishing, number 2, a close relationship with your doctor is crucial, because like Glenn said, you must be comfortable enough with your doctor to have an honest and open discussion. And I think number 3 was, from what I heard, educating yourself through support group like today's session, and through different media outlets like the National Institute of Health, NIH, American Cancer Society, the ACS, and other health organizations like MD Anderson and Harvard Health. These can all give you information to help you understand some reasons behind decisions that you and your doctors will be making together if you needed to be treated for cancer. So,
Can I say one?
yes, please, go ahead.
This, to the women, I say, I didn't have to have a mammogram every year, but I went anyway because since he was going in for the doctor, I just stopped by and got a mammogram. And I never really did self-examination, but I started that, and I think those 2 are important to the women, just for prevention. Catch something early. The first time that I thought I had a lump on my breast, I went in and they did a biopsy, but it was benign. And so after I left, I was kind of embarrassed because I had them all running and it was for nothing. But I continued to do it. I just went in and had a mammogram every year. And just lucky that I found a lump that was really a lump, you know. And everything's okay now.
Great. Okay. Does anybody else have advice for people that you want to give?
I'll mention about when in the 60s, I had a teacher in high school that had cancer, and it seemed like his skin tone changed color, and it's always been in my mind. And it was the traditional chemotherapy at that time, your 5-FUs, all the rest of them, methotrexate. And so the newer drugs for prostate cancer, they're more immune-based. They build up your body's own immunity, so you don't lose your hair. You might, you know, for some guys that you might lose, but mine seems to be thicker. So that's one of the good things about the newer treatments for prostate cancer is you don't have these stomach problems, you don't get infections like you would on these old-time chemos, unless you have to go that way. But generally, the newer drugs are more supportive of a better lifestyle. And I know UCSF has about 80-something prostate cancer projects going on right now. And Jack had mentioned a lot of the monies come from NIH, goes to UCSF and other hospitals to help with the cancer treatment programs. And of course the drug companies come in too. So us guys, we're not alone. There's a lot of work going on in the community to support new drugs, and sometimes it's not only about drugs, but it's about your lifestyle. I'm on a UCSF study right now. It's about exercise, your diet changes, all these good things in life that aren't related to medication, but to help your mind. Because one thing all cancer patients go through is a period of depression, and it could be really low. So your mentors out there that are running these programs always ask you, how are you feeling today? Can we help you in any way? So, you know, you just say, I'll do it.
So, thank you, panel. You guys all did really great, I thought. And thank you for the time and effort that you spent in preparation for the session, because I know how much work it takes to prepare something here. And I'd also like to thank our audience for being with us today, and your presence is greatly appreciated. And I hope that we at least motivated you to enough to stay current with your cancer screenings. Okay, so before we go, I want to put a plug in for future sessions. We have some really exciting topics that we're looking at for future sections. These will be in coordination with the University of Davis Medical School, and they have a team of speakers from their supportive oncology team, and they can address topics like why certain cancers occur more prevalently in Asians and Pacific Islanders, and what can we do to prevent these cancers, and things like new technologies, including artificial intelligence and immunotherapy for detecting and treating cancers, and what are the most recent screening and guidelines and recommendations for different types of cancers. So we'll get together with them and try to put on further programs. Now, if you have any comments or requests, you can submit them to, and I don't want to screw this up, you can submit them to the program manager at ACC Lifelong Learning and Wellness Program, to their office. Okay, so again, it's the ACC Lifelong Learning and Wellness Program office. Try saying that 3 times. Okay, so we just want to thank especially the audience for being with us today, and we will see you at our next session. Now we have one more surprise for you that Ted Fong is bringing in. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Thanks, Jack.
Okay.
I just wanted to thank all of the panelists here today. Thanks, Ted. We just have a little something. You know, this is not necessarily an easy topic that we discussed today, but all of our panelists here just really they were so generous in sharing their stories for the purpose of trying to help all of us think about this important topic, and to urge everyone to consider it, to think about it, how it might affect their own lives, and to go out and take action, to be informed, and to form relationships with your doctor, to take control of your own health and some of your health outcomes. And so that's all really positive and courageous. And in light of that, we wanted to also just have a bit of a celebration, because this is also a celebration of life. We've had such positive stories here today about what happened when people were fortunate enough and took the initiative to take action on their own behalf for their own health. And so we just have a little cake that we're going to celebrate with after the show is over. But it was our way of just wanting to say thank you to all of you for sharing your time and your stories with us this afternoon. And thank you for for coming up with this idea in the first place and for making it happen. So again, thank you to all of you. Thanks to the audience who joined us today, and we hope that you'll come back again for our future shows. There you go.
Wow.
Okay, we'll do a little toast.
All right, we're gonna have a little
We're gonna go
toast.
off air, but we'll do
Us today too. Please come back and join us for our next shows.